heart of Anthem is the concept of Our World, My Story. The unique combination of a dynamic, ever-changing world and a powerful personal story. In Our World, you band together with friends for epic adventures across a vast, shared landscape teeming with danger. The world narrative advances for your whole team. Together, you'll confront countless enemies, those who threaten to take control of the Anthem, as well as ancient beasts. And you'll get further into Our World by taking on explosive missions offered by agents who need your help. These missions take you deep into the heart of Anthem, while also developing the personal stories of each agent.
Trust me, I'm a person you want to know.
Outside of the battles, there's free play. A chance for you to explore solo or with friends. Uncover answers to your questions about Anthem, and find powerful artifacts that could lead you to victory down the road. Back within the safety of Fort Tarsis is where my story begins. This is your chance to develop a richly personal narrative, where your choices have consequences. In this bustling trader town, you'll develop bonds with your pit crew, who can help you prepare for future battles. They're the people in the world who have your back. And as your relationships develop, you'll learn about their pasts and the future they hope to see. Fort Tarsis is ripe for exploration as well. You may even encounter shadowy figures with questionable character. It all depends on the decisions you make. This is real-time storytelling, a reinvention of personal narrative in a multiplayer game. As a freelancer, you are the bridge between the heroic adventures discovered in Our World and the personal journey that unravels in my story. And ultimately, the key to the fate of everyone.
And so, there you have it. And I've just got to say, I am constantly surprised by just how gorgeous this game is. Please actually launch looking somewhat like this, Anthem. So, let's talk about some of the information revealed in that trailer. I'm not going to just reiterate what was said in the trailer, but some of the little things you may have missed include, firstly, we actually got some gameplay with the Storm, of course, and the Interceptor. The Interceptor, kind of for the first time, we saw something from its perspective. And we see it run, jump, and it looks like it dodges or boosts forward and then slams the ground for what appears to be an area of effect melee attack. But of course, no proper melee attack is complete without a 360 spin in the air before you slam down. So definitely, this is a short piece of gameplay, but it does appear to indicate, like we've speculated, a very mobile class and potentially even a melee focused class, but of course we're gonna have to wait and see more. Now, as for the Storm, we actually get a quick piece of gameplay showcasing that instead of sprinting, it appears that the Storm will start to float in the air like along the ground, which I don't know if that does anything, but that is cool as can be. We get a little bit more from the Storm's perspective when it's flying through the air here and then just looting a chest standing still, but then we actually see it utilize an attack. First off, we actually see the Storm calling in a lightning strike on this enemy they're fighting. We saw a third-person perspective of that before, but here it is again in much better clarity, and something very exciting that people were not able to see unless they were at the E3 demo, and they specifically did this, and this time we get a first-person perspective, is that we see the Storm shooting these, seeking icicles out of its hands, and this is really indicative of a class that's mastered the elements. We see it using ice, we see it using lightning, and likely these are going to prime those combos that we do see pop up within Anthem gameplay. You freeze someone with the icicles, or you electrocute them, of course, with the lightning strike, and then another javelin comes in. For example, a Colossus shoots his mortar pod, that's going to trigger a combo with those status affected enemies. So I believe that the Storm is really going to act as the combo primer class. It's going to be that class that you want to have in your party in order to optimize your damage output, to just make everything trigger combos, I think. Now, moving on from there, something that was showcased within the trailer but discussed in much better detail during the panel was the introduction of agents. Now, agents in Anthem are going to be characters that you interact with, and according to BioWare, they're going to be the main source of your missions. And I think these are a little bit outside of the campaign. So in terms of the side quests and all of that stuff, it's interacting with these agents in which you get those side quests. Now, these agents are not just going to be random vendors like you have in Destiny, where they just stand still and you go to them, turn in some stuff, get some rewards, and that's it. You're actually going to be able to interact with them, and you are going to be able to make choices when you interact with them. They did show off some screens of this happening where you could have a right option or a left option and go either path with these agents, and the actual things you talk about and the choices you make will impact your relationship with that agent. So potentially you could really please them and they're going to keep giving you quests and even special quests and so on, or you are a complete jerk to them and then they have nothing to do with you. You might even miss out on certain quests if you do that. During the panel, BioWare also talked about contracts. Now, contracts are things that you can do with agents kind of as endgame or slight endgame activities. Once you've done pretty much all the missions for a certain agent, you can enter into contracts with them, and BioWare even described this as story mode light. So they're potentially going to give you a lot of information and even somewhat endgame rewards for turning an agent into a contract situation by developing that agent, interacting with him, making the right choices, and then again going into that contract mode when you start to do that for him, which is really sweet. It's essentially like developing a faction, leveling up a faction in other games. Now, speaking of factions, let's talk about enemy factions, because BioWare actually went over all of them. So, there's going to be 4 enemy factions within Anthem. Firstly, there are the Scars. Now, we didn't really know too much about Scars, but BioWare said they're actually almost insectoid and they're trying to emulate humans. They kind of look up to humans, or they're jealous of humans or something. They're not super intelligent, and they're more similar to just slightly more advanced wildlife, but that's what they are. They're these human-like creatures, but they're still technically creatures. In addition to that, there's going to be the Dominion. This is the other humanoid faction, not humanoid, actual human faction that's up to the north. They are in direct competition and direct conflict with your human settlement. Just like two countries would be at war somewhat, you have these 2 enemy factions with you, the freelancers, and the Dominion trying to control the Anthem of creation, kind of the main goal.